Good evening and welcome. Thank you for coming here to the Magnolia Library and Community Center, where we're thrilled to host the final mayoral debate of this election season. I'll make a few brief opening remarks and describe the format of the debate, and we'll get right to it. So first, some practicalities. Our restroom is right through those back doors and to the right. We ask that during the debate, all the members of the audience please remain masked. The candidates, you're welcome to unmask if you're vaccinated during the debate, and I will unmask, at least while I'm speaking during the debate as well. We ask everyone to be respectful here during this debate, and we ask that everyone, including the candidates, please silence and put away your phones. I will do that right now. Thank you. I would like to also say a couple quick words of thanks. First to 1623 Studios for filming and recording this debate. This debate will be streaming live on the 1623 Studios Facebook channel and also on Comcast Channel 12, and it will be posted on their YouTube channel later in the week. So I thank 1623 Studios for providing that service. I thank the members of our board and community who have helped plan this debate and helped set up for this evening. We wouldn't be here without them, so thank you very much. Okay, right to it. So the format of the debate, we're going to let give each candidate an opportunity for a 2-minute opening statement. After those opening statements, we have 10 pre-selected questions. These questions have been contributed by members of our community, by students at Gloucester High School, by members of our library board. For each question, one candidate will have 2 minutes to respond, and then the other candidate will give a 1-minute rebuttal to that response, and we'll switch responder and rebutter each time. So each candidate will have 5 chances to be the responder and 5 chances to be the rebutter in the 10 questions. Then after we're done with the questions, each candidate will have an opportunity to make a 2-minute closing statement, and that will be that. Questions from the candidates? And one last thank you. I would also like to thank the candidates for coming here tonight. Thank you for your time and your efforts. Okay, very good. So let's begin. I flipped a coin earlier, and the way it came up that Mayor Tikin, you will give the first opening statement, and then candidate Verga will have a chance, and then we'll flip that order. So for the first question, candidate Verga, you will respond, and the mayor will rebut, and then we'll switch that back and forth as we go through the questions. Okay? Okay, very good. Mayor Tikin.
So I don't have to, this is on? Okay. Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for coming. Yes, I have my phone on vibrate. I am the mayor, so we are losing power all around the city of Gloucester, so someone needs to contact me. They're going to have to contact me. I'm running for re-election is because things before COVID were not completed, and we need to complete those projects that we all worked on together. We have boards and commissions that we have worked on programs, and we need to make sure that these programs go forward. And now with new CARES Act, OPI, and new things that are happening, I want to make sure that we have our foot in the door, the relationships we have with the state to continue and to make sure that we get the right amount of money. Now remember, $5.5 billion sounds wow, but it's for the whole state, and it'll be divided, and there's a lot that we need to change in Gloucester. We do. We need to change our infrastructure. We need improvement. We need our waterfront. We need our private waterfront owners, and we're going for that. We'll talk about that probably later or at my end. But I'm asking for your vote is to believe and trust. I've been a city councilor 13 years, and I've also been mayor for 6 years, but I've also been an advocate. I've also helped a lot of people. I still volunteer, do shine. I've had your trust for over 30 years, 30 years. So I just want to continue to work with you, work for you, to make sure that your tax dollars not only are spent correctly, but we can get other tax money into the city of Gloucester. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Tikin. Mr. Verga.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you to our hosts for holding this debate, and thank you to all of you watching at home. My name is Greg Verga, and I'm running for a more transparent, efficient, and collaborative City of Gloucester. because I want to bring respect and professionalism back to our city. My vision is to refocus the wasted energy back on the bread and butter issues that residents expect and deserve, which is a clean city, safe sidewalks, roads that are repaired equitably throughout the city, and we are wasting precious time, energy, and taxpayer dollars on lawyers and lawsuits, not to defend our city, but to defend the actions of one person. I've spoken to thousands of voters at their doors and on the phones, and it's clear that the people are tired of the problem creation, explanation, and litigation. So I spent 14 years as your city councilor and school committee member. I know how the city should operate. I do not believe that with this mayor, that we're on the right track. My vision for Gloucester includes updating our master plan that's now over 20 years old. We need to get serious about climate change and how our 65 miles of coastline will look by the end of the century. We need to strengthen our resiliency efforts now and start planning for the inevitable changes to our waterfront infrastructure, because after almost 7 years, it's not getting done. I believe in public service and contributing to the community through lifting others up. I was born in Gloucester, raised my family here, and my grandkids are growing up here as well. So as we approach our 400th anniversary, as your mayor, I will lay the groundwork for the next generation so that they too are able to live in Gloucester and raise their families here. So thank you. I look forward to earning your vote on Tuesday, just 7 days away, and so we can move our city forward together. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, so for our first question, Mr. Verga, you'll have 2 minutes to respond, and after your response, Mayor Romeo-Tikin, you'll have 1 minute to rebut that response. Our first question, would your administration be supportive of expanding youth extracurricular activities in Gloucester, and if so, in what way?
Yeah, that's a great question. Somebody asked me that today about, we used to have a lot more stuff for youth, and it occurred to me that a lot of the things we had, like art space and other programs, those kids who were teenagers are now in their 30s, in mid-30s. We should be looking to re-engage them and how we can try to recreate what we once had. There's just not been a lot for kids. I mean, the skate park is one thing. I'm not sure how active it is these days. But, maybe through some of this ARPA money, there's a chance to create new programs, new funding opportunities to bring back something like art space, something for, I'm a musician. When I was a kid, we didn't have many outlets either. So there's a great, a wide range of kids in the city who would love to be doing things in the arts, in athletics. So it's time to reconstitute some sort of a commission. There used to be a teen, I can't remember the exact name, but a commission made up of those kids that would advise the city. And I would be looking to reconstitute that because they're the ones who are going to have the best ideas of where we go from here. There's just too much trouble that idle hands can get into. So I would be fully supportive of trying to create new programs, trying to enhance things that exist, and try to encourage kids through the arts and athletics and other ways, because they're our future, and we should be looking out for them now so that they're productive citizens for Gloucester in the future.
Thank you. 1 minute rebuttal, Mayor.
Well, should I say it's just a rebuttal, then not the question's not for me? Are we rebuttaling already?
Yes, so each of you is going to have, the person answering the question will have 2 minutes to respond to the
Okay.
question, and then the other person will have 1 minute to rebut that response.
Well, fine, that's perfect. Then I will rebuttal. And, we do have a lot of programs, and we are expanding them, and there is a skate park, and we are looking to refurbish it. Then we have a wonderful thing we're going to do, actually, a ribbon cutting on Saturday, is the new, where the Stage 4 park is. There's the basketball field is going to be one of those street hockey. So we have a lot of things and programs that actually community's doing, and we're supplementing. But we did have a teen center, and it was kind of difficult because there were so many different groups of teens, and how do you please one teen group for one organization? So we are looking and we are partnering with the YMCA. They have so many wonderful programs and expanded. They are doing great programs there, and we're going to make sure that, that we do have these programs. And the teenagers themselves, I was at the high school football team and all the soccer, football, baseball, Little League. I mean, there are, but they're not fits for everyone. We want to make sure there's a fit for everyone. We used to have a teen coordinator for the summer youth programs, and that's what we're looking for.
Thank you, Ms. Mayor. So Our second question, and Ms. Mayor, this will go to you for a 2-minute response, and then Mr. Verga, you'll have 1 minute to rebut the response. And the question is this: what will you do to ensure proper traffic flow throughout our city as Gloucester develops?
Shut the bridge. Well, we've been discovered, and right now where people are still realizing that we still have a pandemic in COVID, well, it's COVID, Delta, some don't. Destination Gloucester has been found, okay? So we know that, you know, people, if they can't travel and they're not really going far, they're coming to Gloucester. I worked with the Gloucester Police Department, Ed Conley, and we're working on a program also with, you know, Councilor O'Hara. Was always like, what do we do with beach? He had a beach committee that we looked on and traffic studies that we did. And more, because of COVID, we couldn't actually get more police officers, and everything was shortage. Everyone was working overtime, and now that they can, we had a few graduate yesterday, I believe. So that was one of the problems during the COVID, is because everything was shut down. Everyone forgets everything shut down, including programs, academies, auxiliaries. So we're looking at that, and we're looking also of how we can implement them, especially on certain areas that I know they're going to be targeted, and during what time of the year. And that's what we need to do. I got the suggestions: don't put it out there, Facebook me, don't let people know where we are. But that's not going to be the solution. The solution is actually, now that we're going to have police officers at these intersections, and not just summer help. We're going to have police officers actually at the points from certain times, because after a certain time, it's done.
Thank you, Ms. Mayor. Rebuttal, Mr. Verga?
Sure. Well, one thing we need to look at, and I've talked about this on the campaign trail, is temporary traffic lights. We all know where the pinch points are. The most infamous is George's Coffee Shop. And people say, well, God, we don't want traffic lights. They didn't work in the 70s. And it's like, well, I am here today. I'm not concerned about what didn't work and why it may not have worked in the past. Temporary traffic lights, we do a pilot study to see how effective they are. If they're effective, let's think about permanent traffic lights. If they aren't effective, we ditch it and we come up with some other ideas. But we shouldn't be putting police officers on with their pay scale now to be directing traffic. We know where the problems are. We know that it's going to recur every year between Memorial Day and Labor Day, so we have to spend that off-season focused on solutions instead of just waiting for it to reoccur, excuse me, to reoccur the next year. But I think traffic lights would be a good start, and give it a try and see if we can get somewhere, because we all know what's going to happen. Tourists have discovered us, yes, but this is a year-round problem, and we need to tackle it once and for all.
So can I ask?
Thank you.
Can we rebuttal or no?
No, we're going to move on to the next question.
I just needed to know.
So for our third question, Mr. Verga, you'll give a 2-minute response, and then Ms. Mayor, you can give a 1-minute rebuttal to that response. And the third question is this: can you please talk about how you have engaged with the Magnolia and Ward 5 community in the past, and how you plan to continue as mayor?
Sure. Well, in the past, I was your Ward 5 city councilor, so 4 years I was engaged through that process, which I believe is a great experience for any mayor to have, because I know what the issues are, because they are still happening today, whether it's public-private road issues, the potholes. It's the same things that Sean Nolan and the other outskirt ward councilors are dealing with. So fast forward to today, as mayor, come January 3rd, I will be speaking regularly with the Ward 5 city councilor, as well as the other ward councilors, traveling around with them and finding out what the issues are, and having a pretty good relationship, not picking favorites on the city council, working with all of them. Whether or not they're supporting me for mayor now, I don't care. When I'm the mayor, we're all on the same team. So I will be on the ground with the ward councils. I'll be keeping constant contact with them, knowing what the issues are, and just getting around and talking to people. I've done a pretty good job as it is, knocking on the doors in Ward 5, hearing firsthand from people what concerns them. And that will continue as mayor. Obviously not knocking on the doors to the extent I have been, but keeping constant communication, because I've been there as a ward councilor, I've been there as a resident on the other side as a private citizen for the last 6 years. And I know that it takes a team working with your mayor, your city council at large, your ward councilors, and our delegation at the state, because we all have the same goal, as to serve the residents of Gloucester and make sure we're not ignoring them and doing what we can to the best of our ability. And that's what I'll continue to do as mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Verga. Rebuttal, Ms. Mayor?
Well, thank you, because he was my ward counselor, and that's why then Bill came and other people came after, and Sean's doing a great job, and Jamie is also, who lives here, is a great advocate and assists Sean. So saying that, since I've been mayor, we have cleaned up Lexington Ave, tried to make it a business area. We've also given Magnolia Ave sidewalks that we've been asking for years. We finally got them, and some different kinds of signage for when you go to the schools and school Lexington, and lights that don't work, but we're working on that too. And we're also working on how to make Main Street Lexington. You have now the farmers market, you have all different programs. That's because you're supposed to have ward councilors meetings, and ward councilors, guess what? They have Sean Nolan, who has reached out, but if he doesn't, you have an at-large. And we used to do that, and that's what I want to go back to doing, is making sure the new councilors and new ward councilors understand it's very important to represent your wards and do it correctly. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mayor. So our fourth question, Ms. Mayor, you'll have the 2-minute response, and then Mr. Verga, you will have the 1-minute rebuttal. So the question is this: what is your opinion of our existing zoning laws, and do you have thoughts in regard to the adequacy of current zoning ordinances? Would you recommend change, and if so, why?
Well, our zoning ordinances are so difficult to understand for the people. You know, attorneys are great, they know them, they live them, they breathe them. And so when I've been going on Zoom meetings, I found myself, you know what, can understand how people are lost. Because not understanding exactly when city council has one criteria, planning board has another one, and then the zoning has another one. First of all, we need to really look at all the ordinances, not just the zoning, and we need representations. We need training for a lot of the members, especially the new members. Like I said, when you, like the city councilors, whoever's gonna go in ordinances, we should do a little class for them for ordinances, all of them, but really focus on that. Have someone who is an expert on those. Same thing with the planning board. You know, you can't, if I was on planning board, I have no idea how to read a map. So what happens? So we need to change that, and we need to look at the criteria of the zoning and ZBA. But first of all, like I did before when we were doing affordable housing and people didn't understand the real affordable housing, what it was, we brought someone in from the outside. It was money spent well, educated the board, so maybe we need to look at that. And am I up to changing zonings and doing things? Absolutely. We're working on the housing plan right now. We have a couple of housing plans, infrastructure to put forward. Also, you know, like by right, by law, what you need to do for 1 family, 2 families, and the size. So absolutely. Do I believe in changes? I look forward to it, but I also look forward to the changes of keeping our heritage and keeping what we have. Is beautiful in certain places, certain wards. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. And I want to make sure that our land, our city is preserved in certain areas that it shouldn't be touched. We need open space. So yes, I am willing and I want to bring someone in who's professional, because you can do that with the API for infrastructure, because people don't understand the API money is not used for everything. You have to have certain things, and we have great experts to help us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mayor. Rebuttal, Mr. Verga?
With that answer, I got a little lost on the actual question. Could you please repeat it?
Yep, the question was, what is your opinion of our existing zoning laws, and do you have thoughts in regard to the adequacy of current zoning ordinances? Would you recommend change, and if so, why?
Yes, I think our zoning ordinances are a bit overdue for a re-examination. I think that there's plenty of room for improvement. There have been a lot of, it was pointed out to me recently, there have been a lot of studies that had a lot of good ideas, and I was asked, you know, why aren't these being part of the conversation when the boards and the commissions and the city council look at zoning applications? It's because those recommendations have never been implemented. So as mayor, I would like to take a look at all of those reports, revisit them, see if they're outdated, see if there's still some good information in there, and then if there is, actually go through the planning board and the city council to make those changes into the zoning ordinances. Because there were some great ideas, but if they're not implemented, what the boards and commissions and the council have to vote on is what's actually on the books as our zoning law. So yes, I would be happy to look at them, have the planning board, the planning department look at them, and find better ways we can actually run.
Thank you, Mr. Verga. So So for our next question, Mr. Verga, you'll give the 2-minute response, and then Ms. Mayor, the 1-minute rebuttal. And the question is this: do you support Gloucester teachers in their request for a raise that is higher than the offer from the school committee?
That is not a simple yes or no, because there is bargaining going on in good faith, and I don't think it's my place as a candidate to interject, because it's easy for me to say, yeah, I'm all for it. And then when I get to become mayor, most likely it'll be resolved. But if through some freak of nature it's still being deliberated by the time I'm mayor, I don't want to show my hand now. But we spent this whole pandemic praising our nurses, our frontline workers in supermarkets, our trash pickup people, and the teachers. And I guess it's kind of hard to say you're a hero, but. So moving forward, I would like to see the school committee, which they are doing, bargain in good faith, but in the end, they have to find a way that works within our budget. So I really don't think it's my place to interject now. Teachers do a great job. They're the backbone of our school department. 98% of our teachers have been here for 3 or more years. So we have to do what we can, but we have to consider that there is step and track included in the offer now in addition to the straight raise. There's probably room between the 1% that we're offering and the 9% they're asking for over the next 3 years, but we have to get there through the bargaining process. I'm not going to bargain from this table.
Thank you, Mr. Verga. Rebuttal, Ms. Mayor?
Well, you know what? Our teachers were there, just like the frontliners. They went to school. They took it upon themselves. They worked very hard. Do I believe they deserve a raise? Absolutely. What that is, I'm sure they're negotiating. As you know, I'm on the school committee. We gave in the budget, and if anything you get out of this is, you know what, if they'll come to something, you know what, we're looking at teachers, and you're looking at budget, and we're separating each other, and we shouldn't. There's got to be a middle. I've always said all the time, 2% across the board for my employees, this and that, but there's also what they're bargaining that it needs is their personal days. What can be used and not used? It's not fair that some of the people on the city side and then they'll say the school side. So it's very difficult when you have bargaining on the city side that's happening too. So the fact is that I don't like it. It's not, we've never been this way. We've never, ever been this way, and we cannot continue. I'm sure they'll come to an agreement soon.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Mayor. So for our next question, our 6th, Mayor Teakin, you'll give the 2-minute response, and then Mr. Verga, 1-minute rebuttal. This question comes to us from students at Gloucester High School, and it is, what are you doing to appeal to younger voters who are voting for the first time in this election?
Well, we've been working with some younger voters. We have them on my campaign, and they're great. The ideas that they have telling us how to bring more younger generation into it. Invite them into boards and commission. They might not want to because they're hearing right now everything that's going on. They are not interested in left or right. They're interested in what's going to happen for their future. They're interested in are they going to have a future here? Are they going to be able to sustain themselves here? What are we doing? Affordable housing, jobs, creation, and they want to be part of it. Climate change, they're the ones who taught us. They want to be part of that. They want to let us know really. They want to be part of inclusionary. And I'm going to agree to that. I said, absolutely. And the fact is, when I went to the schools and talked to them, and they were saying, you know what, we liked it that, you know what, they got to make their decisions. When they wanted to do Black Lives Movement, they did it on their own. They didn't include the city. They wanted to be young adults to prove to us that they can do it, they can handle the school, handle the rallies, handle the things that happen, and they are doing it right. And I think, you know what, a lot of them can teach us a lot, and I plan on including them because the fact is I'm seeing what they're doing on my campaign, and they are remarkable, remarkable. The ideas are just, I can't even tell you. And the fact is, those ideas they want to bring for us, they want to give us a break and say, you know what, let us help you now. If you say our schools are great, you say we're great, and our colleges are great, and everything's great, then you need to believe in us. And I believe in you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mayor. Rebuttal, Mr. Verga?
Sure. The it sounds cliche, but the children are the future, and we need to find a way to make them feel like they're part of the now so they can have a future. And that is doing the things that are important to them, which really is important to us, because climate change is probably top on the agenda for the young people these days, and it should be at the top of the agenda for us, because without air to breathe and land to walk on, in the case of us in the coastal community, we're kind of screwed. So recognizing what their concerns are is going to be one. Helping them out in terms of what we provide in our school department, in our schools, is two, so they can graduate ready to hit the workforce, ready for college. So my kids are in their 30s now. I got started in politics when I was 31 when I first ran for office. That's probably the exception. But if we make them feel more part of the community, they'll get involved earlier, whether it's elected office or volunteer work or boards and commissions, because we need their input, because us who are on the other end, we have the old ways, we need the new ways.
Thank you, Mr. Virgo. So for our next question, Mr. Virga will give a 2-minute response, and then Ms. Mayer a 1-minute rebuttal. And the question is this: how do you plan to address the effects of the opioid epidemic here in Gloucester?
Right. Well, that is not an easy question. It's to continue with what we know is working. I mean, first of all, recognizing addiction as a disease and not a crime is a great start. We have to provide the support to the nonprofits that are doing the work for us, particularly Action and other organizations. Do what we can to advocate for more beds, more treatment facilities. Advocate for our hospital so we don't lose facilities, and see if we can add more programs to our hospital. But the opioid addiction is going to be a continuing problem. So do what we can in terms of, like, the Attorney General suing the pharmaceuticals who basically peddled that poison that created this addiction. So always be alert, always be on guard, because it could happen to anybody. You don't have to be a poor person. It doesn't matter what your race is. It doesn't matter where you live. It could hit anybody. So we take it seriously as a city, and we can do what we can to prevent it. There's really no easy answer. It's just a matter of recognizing it, doing what we can to give the support to those who are addicted, and giving the support to those who are helping those that are addicted. I will be sure to put every resource I can as mayor behind it through our health department and other departments that are relevant to make things better than they are. It's a tough thing. I don't wish it upon anybody, but recognition is the first step. Treating it as a disease and not a crime is the second step, and doing what we can to provide opportunities for to break the cycle is probably the most important thing we can be doing. So moving forward, it'll continue being an important part of where we are as a city. I will certainly not be looking to disengage from anything the city is currently doing, just strengthen what we're doing and try to help as much as I can from the office of mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Virga. Rebuttal?
It's kind of hard in 1 minute. I'll try to speak fast, but the fact is, mental health is the biggest problem we have. You're going to recycle addiction if we don't get the mental health. You can put them in a rehab, they come out, they're clean, but if they still don't know the reason why. Now remember, it starts when they're young, and what happens is, we know now, 1,200 registered juvenile mental health therapists, 900 don't take insurance. We've been working on a program pre-COVID. We're working on those programs, and also when they get out of rehab, we're trying to find jobs, so we're working on programs to have that match with an employer with the person who has an addiction, because if they don't stay focused and working and be able to do things. I'm working with the DA Blodgett's office for the first time in 6 years. He felt comfortable and trusts this office administration. We're working close on programs in school, which is very important, because the fact is we also have problems that now we have addiction. We are working on it, but you have children born with addiction, you have all of these problems, and we're tossing them. Not this mayor, not this 6 years. We've been going forward, and we will continue.
Thank you. So our next question, Mayor Mayotikin will give the 2-minute response, and then Mr. Virga the 1-minute rebuttal. And the question is this: how will you reconnect the offices at City Hall now that they are so fragmented?
Well, you say they're fragmented. The newspaper says they're fragmented, but we're working. We're getting more money than we ever gave. We're still working. We have downtown that's doing vibrant. We had the lieutenant governor here doing the blue economy. All my departments are working. What I learned was You can't have your employees your friends and your friends and your employees, because when you have to be mayor, which was COVID, it was difficult, and it was. And you have to be mayor, and that's what we're doing. My team is working great. I don't know where you get disfragmented and all the other things. You come by and see all these offices. We have working on the blue economy. We're working on the local economy. We're working down Main Street. We're also working on planning. We're also working on housing infrastructure. We're working with the other networks, social agencies. If we weren't doing that, we wouldn't have had all the things that we have today. Over 6 years, over $100 million, and MSBA is coming again to, guess what? Look at our schools for O'Malley School. Our team has been working full force, and we continue to work full force. And that's, anyone can see that. If you see some of the places we've been together, we've all been together. We've all been together. And you can look at, people leave positions, other people are willing to come. You should see the resumes and the people that want to come. We are a vibrant community, and who would not want to work here? And let me tell you something. Remember these numbers, 47, 46, 42. That's Bell, Kirk, me. Everyone has lawsuits in the whole city. Everyone has complaints, except this time it was totally different. And you know what? It was COVID. And you know what? We move forward. I don't hold grudges and I don't hold anger. That's not me. That's never will be. And I love my staff. But I appreciate them, and I do respect them. I apologized last June, and we're moving forward. And look at everything we're accomplishing. Look at everything we're getting now, more grants that are coming in. So please, people, look what's happening around you. Don't always believe what you read. Walk around, come into my office. We have open door policy. We're still helping, existing. We're doing things.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Verga, 1 minute rebuttal.
Yeah, I'm not buying it. Who would not want to work here? Well, 10 women have resigned or retired over the last 18 months because of the toxic work environment. So,
I'd ask the audience to keep down while the candidates are speaking, please.
can I get my time back because of that rude interruption? Thanks. So 10 women have retired or resigned because of the toxic work environment. So who would not want to work here? There's at least 10. And sort of relating back to the last question about addiction, we had to return a behavioral health grant of $500,000 because of interference from the mayor's department. And the person who was working on that grant has since resigned because of the interference. So the first thing I want to do is return the sense of professionalism and mutual respect among all the city employees. We can't have someone at the top who is berating, yelling, swearing at people. And this happened before COVID. It continued since the recovery from COVID. So it's easy to say COVID did it, but the facts are the facts. So I'm not buying it. There are grudges being held. There are problems in our city. And I would say that there are probably several, if not multiple, employees sharpen up their resumes right now, and depending on how November 2nd goes, they may be going out in the mail. So we have to do what we can to attract and retain the best people, because the best people are what going to help keep this city moving.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Verga. So we have 2 questions left. For the next question, Mr. Verga, you'll give the 2-minute response, and Mayor Mayotikin will give the 1-minute rebuttal.
Can we ask them to heckle in to please stop?
I would just ask again the audience members to please remain quiet while the candidates are speaking. Thank you. So the question is this.
Yes.
Both Massachusetts and the federal government have set net zero goals. These goals will require Gloucester's homes, businesses, and city buildings to electrify everything. Producing renewable electricity is one thing, but switching to electric heating, driving electric cars, and getting completely off fossil fuels is daunting. Under your leadership, how will Gloucester electrify everything?
Sure. Well, that is going to be daunting. There's no question about it. We don't have the infrastructure right now for electric vehicles. There's, I don't know how many, maybe a half a dozen or less around the city to people to plug in their cars, other than their own private homes. So we have to build up the infrastructure. I would assume that the government, feds and the state, are going to be putting their money where their mouth is. They can't expect municipalities throughout the Commonwealth to come up with the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, if not millions, to make this work. But we can do what we can with our city buildings, whether it's putting solar panels on the roofs we have throughout, the high school, O'Malley, other huge buildings. If we can get the funding, adding the plug-in stations throughout the city. So It's not easy for us to lower our carbon emissions. We can't pass the laws to tell people change your oil burner over to electric heat. But it's going to take incentives from the state, and then we can make sure we can pass those incentives along to the public. Not an easy fix, but it does come down to grants, and we have the right people on staff who know how to write grants, who know how to seek out those grants. I firmly believe that planning for the next grant is no way to have a vision for running a government, but there are grants out there and we should be grabbing them, because as I alluded to earlier, climate change is the #1 issue, and if we don't start tackling it now, we're going to be in big trouble. And one way to tackle it is to electrify. So I'll be doing everything I can as mayor to make things happen, but it's going to take a partnership regionally, through the state, and through the federal government.
Thank you, Mr. Verga. Rebuttal?
Well, 1 minute he's saying we have staff and they're going to do it. 1 minute he says 10 to leave him. But let me tell you something. If someone wants to leave their position, a lot of people, that's happening around this city. Go look at everywhere else. Right now, it's the employees market. Everyone's looking for employees. We have employees that were here that we chose not to upgrade, let's say, and they now town managers in other places, which we studied the green. Yes, we do have the staff. Yes, we do. And as far as the $600,000, I'm sorry, people. You put me in charge to make sure that your money goes into the right places, not continuing to waste your money for things that really shouldn't. So grants, yes, we get them. Green energy, we got Clean Commission. We already turning green. We're looking at now, if you want to build a house, let's make it green. How can we do it? Agricultural money, all of that. We're looking at that. We're helping people turn green. If you want to refurbish, how we can do that. Because the money is out there. And yes, we are getting it. And yes, Greg Catamatori is a great planner in green. I'm telling you, we're looking at more to expanding that department. I have volunteers stepping up and going to meetings with me from the Massachusetts municipality to actually help.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Mayor. So this is our final question. After this question, we'll go to closing statements. So Mayor Mayotikin, you'll give the 2-minute response, and then Mr. Virgo, 1-minute rebuttal. The question is this: what is one skill you have that differentiates you from your opponent?
Well, I learned from my mistakes, and I don't keep bringing negativity. If you're going to be a mayor with no negativity, they keep bringing negativity. Well, yes, there were complaints. There's always been complaints. Because his father even taught me, 50% of the people will love you, 50% will hate you. But if you put me in charge, he was a school committee, we lost Fuller. He was on city council, I was with him, we did nothing. So all of these plans sat on stuff. So you can't accuse me of things when you were side by side with me doing them. As your mayor, we've gotten more done. Yes, is people gonna get upset because I want them to work? You put me in place to make sure that your money's spent correctly, that you get it. If you have to work, so don't we all. And sometimes when you ask or question or whatever, why are people getting that kind of money? Why are they getting stipends? Why is this one doing this one? Why is someone getting that when we have more professionals and we're turning down people who want to come to the city, but then they have their own little clique? Well, I'm sorry. I'm in charge to look at your money, your benefact, to make sure all citizens of Gloucester are treated and respected, and they have been. But when something isn't being abused in the system, we need to change it, and that's what we've been doing. Some of those allegations, 1999, 2014, 2016, those employees weren't even working for me. And that's what's happening. You're bringing up the past. If you want me to bring the past, then why did you close Fuller? Why? You know why? Because accreditation. Did you fix the problem? I'm here to fix the problem. Fuller School was closed because of accreditation, not because O'Malley and Fuller, or they were going to switch it, the accreditation. So what did they do, these children? They outskirted them. They outskirted them to West Parish, Beaman, Plum Cove, East Gloucester. So what happened? Those children grew up. Did we fix the problem, Mr. School Committee and then Mr. Counselor? We didn't fix it. So now what's the problem? Accreditation for O'Malley in the high school went down. We need to fix the problem. Will people like the solutions? No. Will people get angry because we have to reorg their offices and change them? Oh, stop wasting money like at the annex? Bring it downtown.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Mayor. Rebuttal, Mr. Virgo?
Sure. The public record would disprove easily everything she just said about Fuller and what actually happened. Read the minutes of the meetings and where I stood on Fuller, and when I tried to save Fuller, I didn't sell it, you did. And as far as the watching our money, you've mentioned in previous debates how frugal you are. Yet your office budget has increased 50% since 2016 to the tune of $162,000 and 1.5 employees. So the one skill I have is to really be honest with people and treat people with respect and dignity. We are losing people, there's no question. I'm not talking about 1999 or 2016. I'm talking about over the last 18 months or more. And it's not just COVID related. It's people who got basically, how can I say this politely? Treated like crap by this mayor over because of her behavior. It's that simple. People want to be here. They want to do their job. They want to be empowered. They want to have oversight. They don't want to be interfered with.
Thank you, Mr. Burrow. Okay, that's the last of our questions, so we've come to the time for closing statements. You'll each have an opportunity to make a 2-minute closing statement. We'll go in the reverse order of the opening statements, which means, Mr. Verga, you go first.
Thanks. Thank you to the Magnolia Library and Community Center for hosting this debate. Thank you to those who are here tonight and those watching from home. I am running for mayor for a more transparent, efficient, and collaborative city of Gloucester so we can move forward. My vision for Gloucester is that we refocus the wasted energy back on the bread and butter issues that we all care about, that every resident deserves and expects, and that's the clean city, safe sidewalks, streets maintained equitably throughout the city, and a school system among the best performing in the state. At the same time, we can set our sights on the long-term planning that looks far beyond just arm's reach, because it's just not getting done. Under the current leadership at City Hall, I do not believe we're on the right track. With each day that passes, it becomes harder to ignore that this mayor's not thinking about our future. The lack of professionalism and respect at City Hall is costing us, the taxpayers, money spent on expensive lawyers, money spent on expensive harassment investigations, and on lawsuits and litigation. Why is our hard-earned money going toward cleaning up the mistakes and the mess instead of fixing potholes? Why is the budget being spent on a revolving door of 4 chief administrative officers appointed temporarily, skipping the confirmation process instead of paving roads and protecting the beaches? So as we approach our 400th anniversary, instead of heckling and problem creation, explanation, and litigation, we should be laying the groundwork for the next generation so that they are able to live here too and raise their families here. So as your mayor, I'll be the voice for the residents, the parents, the families, the neighbors, those who feel they've gone unheard for too long. I look forward to earning your vote Tuesday, just 7 days away, and you can learn more at Vote Verga. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Verga. Ms. Mayor?
Well, let me tell you something. Those were allegations. And if you look, a lot of those allegations were found unsubstantial. And some of these remarks were 1999, 2014, a video from 2016, 2019. They weren't, I wasn't hostile to them. I was having conversations of my own, and people overheard. Let's get that clear. I have never in 30 years have ever said publicly, hey, you're a, never. And the fact is, 1 week I was upset, but I didn't say anything, and a lot of them said it, there's nothing. I admitted. If I could have been a liar and said, no, 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 I'd be free and clear right now. But I admitted, because the fact is, I don't lie, I don't disappear. And guess what? If you look at the few that have left the city are from one department, one section, because we need to look at it. I want to change the annex. I want to change some of these organizations. All of you are saying, why is my septic not done? Why is this not done? A building or zoning or anything else? Well, how are we going to do it? You're finally talking. You're finally coming forward. We're listening and we're changing. Well, guess what? Some people were too comfortable in certain positions and not be able to change or have, guess what? I need to know what you're doing. These people are blaming me. I want to know what's going on. Why aren't we outside? Why aren't we inside? Why aren't we doing that? Why aren't we going that? Isn't that what a mayor's supposed to do? You're supposed to be the leader. And when he says, oh, well, keep negative, well, that's not true. You're not paying for my attorney at all. We have insurance companies for mine. So you can laugh and not Mr. Heckle, because you know what? I can take heckling. I've got broad shoulders. I've taken a lot. And guess what? I still lead. I still have a partnership. And I still get endorsements. And I still bring in money in the city. My shoulders are nice and broad because that's what a mayor's supposed to do. I can pound, I can do this, I can say that, but but I am your mayor, and I do
Thank you.
represent you.
Thank you, Ms. Mayor. A few quick thank yous. Again, I want to thank the candidates for the time and energy that you devote to our city. I want to thank our timer, Kylie Davis, who I forgot to mention earlier. Thank you, Kylie. And I want to thank all of you for coming out to this debate tonight and for your support of the Magnolia Library and Community Center. Good night.
Good night.